Hey, it's Drybear. With the release of patch 1.1, we saw a massive change to how experience works in Diablo 4. And having just done a full analysis of what XP was like in patch 1.0.4 preseason, I wanted to update you on my new testing and findings for patch 1.1 so you're more prepared for going into season 1. But first, you should come hang out with me on my live stream. I'm live every single day on twitch.tv/Drybear. If you don't come hang out with me in the community, the next time you lay down in bed, both sides of your pillow are going to be warm. So I kind of expected this to happen. My thought last week was, what if I do this week-long testing of XP analysis in patch 1.0.4 and find out that on the patch day that they changed all the density or they reworked experience. And my thought along that line was that, well, regardless, I'm not gonna want to spend a week testing dungeons once the patch goes live, because I'll be playing the season and I'll playing the new content. So if I won't have time to do it, it might be just a starting point for where XP is going into patch 1.1. And it turns out that that's kind of what happened, because we did get a large change to how experience works in Diablo 4. So that prompted me to do a bunch more testing yesterday to figure out where XP was at and what the best strategies are for leveling, depending on what kind of player you are, how much time you have to play, so on and so forth. So keep in mind, this is just a day's worth of testing. It's, the sample size is what it is, but this is what I found yesterday after a bunch of testing on XP. Just so we're all aware, the major changes in the patch were group content is harder, which means that the HP of the enemies is higher, so it's going to be slower killing in groups. So group farming got a little bit slower in that regard. They also did some stealth nerfs that they didn't mention, like half of these they didn't mention in the patch. But World Tier 3 Capstone Dungeon to go to from World Tier 2 to World Tier 3 now has a minimum level requirement of level 40. This has been denoted by many people, tested and shown. It wasn't in the patch notes, but there it is, which means that if you go to the Capstone Dungeon at level 35 and someone runs you through it, you won't get any credit. You have to be at least level 40 in order to get credit to unlock World Tier 3. So you have to be level 40 minimum. So for boosting, which I don't think is really that big of a deal, they'll just have to level you up first, then do the capstone, then move forward. On top of that, enemies in World Tier 3 are a minimum level of 55, which means that if at level 40 you do the capstone dungeon and then you go straight into World Tier 3, you'll be level 40. The enemies you're facing will be level 55. And then they scale up from level 55, and then by level 70, they'll be 5 levels behind you. So if you're level 70 in World Tier 3, the enemies will be level 65, just to give you a sense of power progression. Same thing goes for World Tier 4. The capstone has a minimum requirement at level 60, so if you do it at level 55, you won't get any credit. And the enemies in World Tier 4 are a minimum of level 75 as you progress forward. The biggest thing that hurt us the most in this patch was XP from higher level monsters was significantly reduced. On average, it was anywhere from 70 to 90% reduction in the bonus that we get for fighting monsters higher level, which means that the majority of our bonus now comes from that linear scaling that we get. Every time a monster's, a little bit stronger than you, they give a little bit more experience. That was always a linear system that existed in the game. And then previously we had this big, massive bonus for doing things that were 1 level higher, 2 level higher, 3 level higher. That got nerfed super hard, and now the benefits that you get from doing monster killing that are higher level than you is a lot less. So, since level scaling was the fundamental scaling point for XP routes in Season 0, the question has to be asked, what is XP like now in patch 1.1? And after a full days of testing, it's only one sample day of testing, but this is what I found after the new patch on what's going on. Equal level dungeon scaling is close to what it was before, which means if you're doing a dungeon that's equal to your level in your normal world tier with no scaling, it's pretty similar to what it was before. So dungeons still kind of hold the same value. Strongholds took a big nerf to XP because the main benefit of strongholds was, well, there's two main benefits. One, they were short and easily repeatable. And two, all the mobs inside were always 1 or 2 levels higher than you. So you always got that 15 or 20% bonus. That bonus went down from 15 to 1.5 and from 20 to 3. So you lost a bunch of that bonus XP while leveling. You'll still get that, some of that percent scaling from season, but you get that for everything that you do. And I tested a bunch of strongholds. They're actually still pretty good. They took a big nerf from the past patch, but they're still viable. The thing now is just you need to be a little bit more efficient with timing, because if you're slow in clearing the strongholds, the bonus that you got before was kind of carrying you, whereas now you need to be a little bit more efficient in how quickly you clear them. Also, I did like 20 different tests, and for some reason, it seems now that Stronghold seemed to be the same XP per second, whether you're on World Tier 1 or World Tier 2, assuming that you have the same character power and the same player skill and the same build. And some of that might just be because the XP going down just meant that you're getting 20% more experience, but the mobs are 20% harder. So it's about the same XP per second either way. So maybe you just always run a World Tier 1 for Strongholds. However, there was a note in the patch that they kind of mentioned that I don't think has been talked about enough. And that is, they said they significantly increased the XP and rewards that you get from Tree of Whispers, Grim Favor activities for turning those bounties in. So yesterday, just as an experiment, I wanted to see how much significant actually meant in numbers. Like, what did that look like? And it turns out that it is a massive amount of XP now. At level 30, turning in the Whisper cache was anywhere from 40 to 60% of my level, just for turning it in. And then the completion of the Grim Favor activities was also significant. So as it stands right now, my recommendation for leveling in Season 4 a brand new character pre-level 50 when you get Nightmare Dungeons is actually just run Whisper bounties on World Tier 2. This scales the XP bonus that you get, and it scales the loot that you get. I actually got about 10 legendaries an hour doing the Whispers bounties on World Tier 2 with the new loot bonus. So I actually think that not only is this an amazing way to get amazing experience, it's probably about what it was for Stronghold clearing in the last patch, assuming you don't get lost and don't get trapped in the map. You have to be pretty efficient with getting on your mount and going to the next area. Make sure you're skipping any activity that's not a Grim Favor activity. So don't do Obel events that aren't labeled for the Whispers. It's actually pretty inefficient. For that, just do everything that's Tree Whispers, turn in the cache, open it, do more Tree Whispers, turn in the cache, and just keep doing that. And then if you find a dungeon that has a very fast clear time or a high density of mobs, you can clear that for the 5 Grim Favor activities. You can do 2 Grim Favor dungeons and then get a cache for like half your level. It's crazy good. And you get a bunch of loot for it, which is really nice. But I think on top of that, this is probably actually the best option for most players. For casual players and players that play to enjoy the game, I feel like running Whisper bounties is more engaging and more varied than running the same dungeon over and over or running the same stronghold over and over, hearing the same voice lines over and over and over and over. This might actually be just a positive for the patch. I know there was a big loss here. Strongholds are very easy and straightforward. You can kind of tune out and do it. Same thing goes for dungeon leveling, but this actually might be a positive in that Whispers are viable now. They might be the best XP you can get in the patch right now, and you get crazy loot from it. Like I said, I got like 10 legendary drops from the Tree of Whispers. You could get more, you could get less, but the drop rate on World Tier 2 for Whispers was really nice. So I was getting a bunch of legendary powers. You may even, while leveling, get the legendary power you were looking for a build you might want to play, rather than running dungeons or strongholds where the drop rate would be potentially much lower. I ran strongholds on World Tier 2. I ran dungeons on World Tier 2 and World Tier 1. The drop is noticeable on World Tier 2 now. Yeah, I think I think this is it, man. Whisper bounties is the way to go. So I wanted to update you on where XP was in patch 1.1. I will be putting out more leveling guides on Druid and Necromancer, the classes I've spent the most time with recently, and then I'll show you step by step for that. But I wanted to update you based on what the XP testing was from yesterday. So if you found value in the video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and I'll see you on my live stream. If you enjoyed yourself today, leave a like down below. You can support me and my work on Patreon and view Patreon exclusive content, link in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.